Hi, how are you? And welcome back. We're about to do the tarot for the business coaching. And we've got two decks, and we're going to be using the Celtic Tarot, which I've been using a lot, but I like it because it's quite definite. And then using the vice versa tarot to do any clarifiers that we need to do. Okay, so this is talking about the new moon, which happened yesterday in Scorpio. And this is all about new beginnings. It's about Phoenix rising, to be clear about the new beginnings. It's not just a new beginning. It's about ending something and moving on. And then we've got the lovely Mercury Retrograde coming up, which is all going to be about communication, but it's also going to be about us paying close attention, because we're going to learn a great deal from other people about what they're saying and how they're saying it. And some of it's going to be quite unintentional, but that's the beauty of Mercury Retrograde. The other thing called Mercury Retrograde is because it's at 0 degrees and triggering Jupiter and Venus, which is all about expansion. Then what's going to be happening with that is that we're going to be able to gain the language that we need in order to be able to talk about the things that we need to be able to talk about. And it's really important that we do have the language and the skills to not just articulate the new direction we want to go in or the changes we want to make, but also to allow us to be able to have a great conversation which allows people to buy in and get comfortable with their own fear. Because remember, change, regardless of what it is fearful, and a lot of people are not comfortable with it. Now, what's leading up to all of this? And interesting that I said change is fearful and a lot of people are not comfortable with it. Even when we're the ones making the change, or we're the ones being asked to make the change, sometimes we are not comfortable with it. And that's the Nine of Swords. So there's something that's keeping us awake at night. There's something that's giving us a few nightmares. And there's a lot of people, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but there was a lot of people who are dealing with deeply hidden aspects, because this is also what's being triggered with Scorpio, particularly on a personal basis. And a lot of that's going to influence how we do the change, because if we're feeling fearful about some aspects of this, then we also don't have the confidence, and this could be what's keeping us awake at night. But understand that this is fear, this is not reality. And a lot of this is what if, what if, what if. But I'll do some more work on that and see what comes out. So what have we got besides the Knight of Swords? I have to get really focused on this, because the cards, when I was doing the personal, the cards were really tight. Now that I'm doing this, the cards are just jumping. Oh, look at this. Three of Swords. So we've got the Nine of Swords, and we've got the Three of Swords. Pluto is also at play, Uranus is also at play, and Scorpio is also about going deep down and understanding what's there. So we're going to be having to look at things from the past that we thought were failures and that hurt us. And we're going to have to make sure that we've cleansed all that out. I'm not surprised by that. At the coaching at the moment I'm doing with a lot of people having restless nights, can't sleep, and having things that are coming up that need to be dealt with. Now understand, these are all things that are holding you back. So that's why they're here now, to be dealt with. But remember, fears are often thoughts about what could have happened, and sometimes we have to face that fear to release it. And what's interesting about that is we've also got the Four of Swords. Now what's fascinating me is the Four of Swords span out upside down. The Four of Swords is normally take time out, muse about it, think about it. I'm afraid what we've got to do is act. It has been this that has enabled this to come forward. So now, where the cards are saying no more, Now is the time to really face that fear and work with it. Because what we're setting ourselves up for is a big 10-year cycle. So we want to make sure we're the best we can possibly be for going forward. And what will happen is we have these fears, and sometimes it's not just fear of failure, it's actually fear of success. It's just as scary as fear of failure, because we're really worried, what happens if we're successful? Then we'll have to do this, and that'll change, and how am I going to cope with that, and where's that going to go? And can I do it? Right? Is this really me? Can I do it? And whereas failure, in many ways, is safety. Six of Swords. Go towards the new. It is time to go towards the new. No more being comfortable with where you're at. Time to go to the new. Messages are really popping out. Okay. So what have you been holding yourself back from? What is it? Because remember we had the desires early on. So what is it that you really want to do, but fundamentally, every time it kind of pops up, you push it down because you don't want to discuss it. You don't want to go there. What is it that in your heart of hearts, if you could do it, you would do? And then, what's holding you back from all of that? Okay. Oh, we're getting this a lot. So let's have a look at that. Okay. The cards are really saying, and I understand this because I've also been having sleepless nights, and I'm in the process, as you probably know, because I'm new to this. So I'm in the process of defining the direction I want to go and getting really comfortable with that. And also part of that for me has been being a lot more open with people about this is what I'm doing and this is who I am now. And having come from you don't get to be vice president of a global organization, without really committing yourself to that corporate path. And you don't end up being part of the global coaching and leadership team, as in teaching people how to lead and coaching managers for some of the biggest companies on the planet, without really pushing yourself to achieve. Now, I left all of that, and I've come into this. So, of course, you want to talk about having fears? Hey, have a good look. More fears than you could possibly focus on. But my whole career has all been about reinventing myself. So why not? Why not? Nothing to lose, the world to gain. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got the Five of Swords coming out as well. And the Five of Swords in this instance is, I'm going to be having a look at this, is again fear. It's fear of putting yourself out there. And it's the fear of conflict. It's the fear of conflict. And finding yourself in this conversations and arguments that are not going anywhere. And this is why I really love the fact that we've got the Mercury Retrograde, because it gives you time to find the language, and not just your language, but the people you're trying to influence's language before you go ahead. And I think that's really important. Three of Cups, I love this. Now, this has been coming out quite a lot. Three of Cups, Three of Water. And this is talking about getting together with friends and celebrating. You have a tribe, and they're connected to you. So you really now need to be reaching out to that tribe and actively talking about what you're trying to do and getting their help. And you'll be surprised what's going to come. And this is also reminding you, in amongst all of this gloom, lighten up and have a little bit of fun. All right? Lighten up and have a little bit of fun. We've got another aspect which is really interesting because we've got the Four, so we've got two fours, but remember the Four of Swords is upside down, and we've got the Four of Pentacles. So one of the things that's going to be holding us back from going forward is that we're going to be feeling comfortable. And some of us have been really working hard to reach the state of comfortability, and now we're kind of going, oh, so much, we can take a bit of a rest now. But this is actually saying to you, use this place of comfortability. And here we have the mother. And the mother is the queen of rebirth and nature and prosperity. And we're going into Scorpio, which is about rebirthing and coming together. Because this is really a time for us to be nurturing these small ideas that we have. And some of them are not small ideas, they're big ideas. The only thing keeping them small is us, because we've been afraid to talk about it and to expose it, because what happens if it grows, right? Because we're fearful about what happens if it grows. That's all the fear. And some of that's being driven by, I'm quite comfortable now, I've got quite good business, my relationship's pretty good, work's not bad, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. And this one is saying, no. Go forward and prosper. Go forward and prosper. Okay. And what have we got? Bottom of the pack? King of Swords. Now the King of Swords, Kings are interesting cards. It is mastery of your thoughts. But it's also reminding you, now remember we had this in the last deck coming into Scorpio season, it is reminding you when there's a lot of noise around you, and I say noise, but turbulence and arguments and disputes and people are unsure, that energy is quite infectious, and you can really get drawn into that hesitancy and uncertainty and start questioning yourself. You might need to just withdraw into your own thoughts and allow yourself not to be taken up with other people's negative thoughts. One of the things that's going to be happening, and I did talk about this in the astrology, one of the things that's going to be happening, and it's going to be a lot of, you know about energy vampires. They're people who take your energy. That's very nice. But right now, there's a surplus of energy trolls. They're putting their negative energy onto you. Don't get caught up in other people's negativity, and do not take it on. Give it right back at them. Don't take it on. Okay. Let's just see if we can get some more clarity. I mean, I think the messages are pretty clear, but that 3 of Swords and the 9 of Swords and the 5 of Swords is just calling to me. So I'll just see if there's anything else that needs to come out about that. She says, just because I told you the cards are jumping, so I'll just see if it comes forward again. The Fool. It's time for a journey. It's time for a leap of faith. It's time to trust yourself. Now that's the clarifier. For these 3. What's the antidote to that? Trust yourself. Trust the journey. These, okay, arguing, fighting, for what? Nightmares, not feeling comfortable. This is often bickering, right? So it's not necessarily fighting for a specific cause, it's just bickering. Negative energy churning everywhere. And then, of course, you've got some heartbreak. I've got a very strong feeling this is past. And this is us holding on to past fears that have held us back. Fool. Leap of faith. Trust. Go forward. Oh, and we just got a one more, so we'll just see what comes out. It's time. It's the World card. You've got this. You've got this. Big leap of faith. Whatever you want, this is the timing for it. Now, just remember what I was saying before in the astrology. This is not immediate. This is setting you up for a long-term gain. And this is why we have to face these fears. Because they're just coming back and back and back and back. And sometimes they've been pushed so deep that we don't recognize them. It's only when it's challenged by the concept of something new and being told to get off your butt and go that we start to go, can I? Of course you can. Look at that. Trust yourself. It's time to trust yourself. Okay, take care and